SMMA, Social Media Marketing Agency. There you go. See, you answered the question for me. So whenever I look at like an online type of business in this game, you have done for you, and then you have done with you. So done for you is basically what we have right now, where you guys are coming out and you're recording me. You guys are an agency where you're doing it for me. You're recording for me. You would edit these videos for me. Whereas done with you would be more of like a coaching model, where it's just like, I'm gonna hold your hand to implement certain things in the business. So yeah, so SMMA is basically a agency where you're doing the thing for me. So for example, you guys would be an agency for me to record my content, edit my content, and then hypothetically you guys would post my content but it's done for me. It's not, I'm not doing it. Then you have a media buying agency where basically they're running my ads for me. Right. So it's like they're gonna either create the creative or even write the copy, test different audiences. It's done for me. And that's an agency where most of the time it's paid on like a monthly basis, like a monthly retainer, and then it's a done for you agency. In the coaching space, it's more of like done with you. So we're not gonna actually post the content for you. We're not actually gonna do the sales calls for you, do the actual client calls for you. But what we're gonna show you instead is a blueprint to show you how to do the thing. So when someone joins my coaching program, I'm gonna give them a blueprint. So let's say, for example, I was coaching an agency. That's because it's done with you. I'm gonna show you how to get clear on your message, how to do your branding, how to generate calls, how to book calls. And so that would be more of a coaching offer. Whereas an agency, it's like, hey, you guys hire me, we're gonna run your ads to book calls for you. And I would say that would be the biggest difference between a social media agency and a coaching offer.
Which do you think is a better model?
So for me, I don't think it's about what's a better model. I think it's, let's take an agency versus a coach. An agency will get capped out because there's so much work to do. So let's say, for example, you guys got 15 clients tomorrow, you'd be extremely overwhelmed. Yeah. You probably couldn't handle it. Yeah. Whereas for me, I could enroll 15 clients tomorrow and be fine because I have the processes put in place, because they have a roadmap where it's basically, you come join the program and here are your workbooks and assignments, and then we're gonna give you the coaching and guidance. Right. The difference that I would say is, like, from an agency perspective, that you're now charging me monthly. It's a little bit different with a coaching. You guys can charge me $1,500, $2,000 a month plus every month, because at some level it's almost like, not that you're an employee, but you're basically working for me. As a coach, you're not gonna pay a coach every single month forever, depending on the situation. I mean, obviously, there's different elements, but on average, an agency is more of a monthly play. Like, for example, I think I was talking to you about this. If you're charging me $2,000 a month, I'm really paying you guys, almost $25,000 a year. Yeah. It's different as a coach to be like, hey, my coaching program is $25,000, for the year. I'm selling like a big on master, and so it's just a different type of model where I can handle it from a scale level, where you guys can get 4, 5, 6 clients and be good. Yeah. Right. So it's just more of a different model.
So when would you know what is best for you, and under what circumstances do you know what is better for you?
I think if you're beginning and you don't have a lot of life experience, 1,000%. I think Ty Lopez was the one that kind of created that social media marketing agency kind of hype initially. I remember this was back in 2017. Yeah, right? I remember Iman Ghazi, I'll give you an example, because you guys are familiar with Iman Ghazi, right? So Iman Ghazi he was more of he started off with the agency. So he ran his agency, because I've kind of gone through a little bit of his courses. So he started off with the agency, where what he did was he built his social media marketing agency, right? Where he was,
I think so.
It was something like that, or ads. But yeah. So he did that because he was a young kid. He was probably 18, 19 years old. He's still young, or even younger. I think he was 16 years old. And then from there, he built a successful agency, and then he came out with the actual coaching offer after. Where it's let me show you how I built my coaching agency, or my social media marketing agency. So I think it's if you don't have a lot of life experience in general, for example, if you're gonna coach, well, you have to be somewhat of an expert. So if you don't have that expertise, it's gonna be very difficult to go and launch a coaching expert consulting business. Right. What are you coaching consulting on? So for myself, I started my first coaching business at 27. But what did I do? I had a stuttering issue. I went through all this life experience from learning how to public speak, being a sales rep, learning how to be a director, And now I'm at a chapter in my life where I've accomplished this goal. I'm not the most super duper successful, I don't think anyone really is ever, but I have somewhat of a blueprint that I can break down for someone and I can gain authority and respect from an audience. I think if I was 17 years old saying, I'm gonna show you how to overcome your stutter, it's hard to get an audience to respect you. So I think it's actually easier initially to run an agency if you're from ground zero. The other thing too is like agency versus coach. I think for an agency, I think you just have to realize what's your personality. So like, do you enjoy teaching or do you just enjoy like doing your thing? So I think it's also realizing that. Like when you're a coach, it's an identity. What's the identity? Is I'm sharing my opinions all the time. I'm sharing my knowledge all the time.
So how did you figure that out?
Because a lot of my 20s was learning and then educating and then communicating. Because I have a sales background, I'm basically coaching prospects and clients all day long. So when I'm knocking doors, what am I doing? I'm coaching someone on why they should switch their provider. When I have a sales team under me, what am I doing all day? I'm coaching them, I'm motivating them, trying to help them break their beliefs and certain objections. This person said this to me, what should I say? Whereas an agency, it's more of like what you guys did. You guys are setting up certain things. You know, you're more of like, hey, shoot, let's go, boom. And then you're like, now I'm gonna edit this video, product done. So it's a different type of mentality. One's more of like a doing for you, one's more of like, I'm gonna help and hold your hand. So I think you have to realize what's your personality and what do you enjoy more? What do you enjoy, doing? Some people just like, I'm gonna just do my work. I'm not trying to motivate you and coach you and make you a better person. I don't really care if you're a better person. I'm just gonna get the job done. But you'll meet a lot of 17, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old social media marketing agencies. So I think it's just realizing that.
So how do you make sure that you're always staying knowledgeable on whatever you're doing? And how do you make sure that you're on top of everything?
Well, I think it's from both ends. I think it's this constant evolution of like, you have to keep learning.
Yeah.
Like I think that's also a problem with other agencies. I think just people in general. My dad always makes this joke, and if my dad's watching this, funny. My dad said, oh, after university, I'm never reading a book ever again. Because obviously that's a joke, but I think like you always have to stay sharp. So I'm always up to date with like what's happening in the coaching industry. There's this constant understanding of the industry. I think from the agency's point of view, it's the same thing. If you're like, here's another big thing with agencies, I think this is people in general, like the reels that were posted back in 21 or 22 are different in 2024. Like you just think about TikTok, right? TikTok, it was very like short to the point videos, very short. Now, I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, but like there'll be like this 4.5-minute TikTok that you'll press ×2 and watch the whole thing, right? And so it's different than how it was. So I think like being up to date, period, is what makes you great at your craft too. I think the best coaches and the best agencies know how to do both. For example, when I enroll a client into my program, if they're stuck, let's just say building a Facebook group, a good coach is like, great, we're gonna build it for you, right? Or if they're like, I have a whole video series on how to set up their ads and they're stuck of how to add their pixel to a funnel, I'm just gonna do it for you. That makes you a very good coach and a high value coach. With an agency, I think if you just like, I just do my work and you don't have that personality or that coaching or educating, then I think it's realizing you need to do both, but I think one is bigger than the other. So one is more educating, knowledge, expertise for a coach, and the other one is more like doing the work, getting it done, being efficient, being productive, having great in terms of like communication with the client.